All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to our Dive into Creatio series. We will be continuing and digging a little bit deeper into building processes in Creatio. And today we are going to, like I said, take a little bit deeper look into some process options, particularly different ways to start a process and what that means and how you can use those within the tool. Also take a brief look at the process log, which is where, everything that a process does kind of gets logged. It's a pretty neat tool to see what happened, where it might have gotten stuck, see what's been done. All right. As usual, some relevant links and information. So if you want to learn more, dig even deeper, see what every icon means in the series, this is a great place to start. And last but not least, we are looking for suggestions for anything else you might want to learn in Creatio. So please email those to either Betsy Frank or myself, Chris Isbell. And also just got this in my inbox this morning that Creatio will be having their No Code Days event May 4th through 5th this year down in Florida. And a link there to go check that out and register if you'd like to. We have been in the past, had some clients go as well, and found the event very useful. All right, so digging back into process library, ways to start, and the process log. Let's jump into Creatio. Excellent. Okay, we're in our kind of Creatio playground that we've been using. And today, like I said, we're going to dig a little bit deeper into the starting of processes and how they can be run in the system. So I'm in Studio section over here, which is normally where all the process information lives. So I'm just going to jump into process library. And again, there are kind of three main ways a process can start. One, by what Creatio calls an object signal. So think of a record is added, modified, deleted. Another, it can run by a timer. So it can run, on Saturdays at 6 a.m. or every night at midnight or, once a week. Or they can be run manually and set to start manually. But within, I'm going to say the manual ones in particular, we'll kind of dig into different ways to attach those and run them from a particular record, or just run it, if it's kind of a mass update thing, you can run it from this run process button right up here on the left navigation area. Okay, so we're going to take a look at maybe a couple of process today, but let's look at this one, copy, order, and products. So this adds functionality. If I jump over to orders real quick, this adds functionality besides the normal copy button that's kind of built in. This, I'm going to say, enhances that and copies a lot more information. Plus, you get to define exactly how it's copied. So we're going to take a look at how we made this process. So we're going to jump right in, and we will edit our process. Again, just a quick refresher. You can give your process a name, and then basically everything that we click on or do or manipulate or any settings are going to be on the right side. So, here's our name, what package it's in, how many times it can run in a row. That's kind of a misnomer. How many times it'll run like before it stops, like if it was going to run like 100 times in a row and you wanted to call it 100 times, it would run that many times before stopping. Any parameters that are being passed into the process or passed out of the process to another record or another sub-process. In this case, we have one defined, jump in here. It's going to hit my ... and edit. We're calling it order ID. We're giving it a code, and its data type is a unique identifier. So think of every record in the system has a unique identifier behind it. So we are essentially identifying a particular order by its ID. And direction. So that means, is it an input? Is it an output only? Or am I using it bidirectional? Bidirectional is fine a lot of times. But sometimes it might just be an input and you don't want to use the same one for an output. So, or vice versa. Again, to quickly add that, all we would do is hit add parameter, and we would hit other, and then unique identifier. Parameters are used a lot in processes to hold information. Think of them kind of like a variable if you're a developer-like person. Or just a place to store some information to, either set a value or remember a value or pass a value to another process. Those are parameters. Okay, again, we only have one on this process, and we don't have any particular code. Okay, so I'm just going to click back in the process and we'll go to the next one. Starts. So the whole idea behind this process was we wanted to run it for a particular order. And we don't know what orders it's going to be run on, because someone could just manually go to the interface, highlight an order, hit run process, and select it right here. And we'll walk through that step as well. So that is the starting method for this process. So for that reason, we just have a normal, simple start. We don't need to do anything if a record is added, modified, deleted. We don't need to run on a timer. It's just going to run whenever we tell it to run. So that is simply a just an empty green circle for the start, which is the default. If you drag it over here, it's that. If you needed to change it for whatever reason, you can highlight it and hit your gear icon for the settings and set it to a different option. A signal, a timer, start from some message passed in from another process or something. And then terminate. We're just going to leave this a simple start. Okay, so the first step we do is we added a read data element and gave it a name. You can see it's a read data, and that is done through the system actions. There are a lot of options here. And so we're just doing, hey, read. Thought being, all right, we passed in an order ID. We don't know anything about the order yet. We don't know any of its information. So that's what we're going to do. We are getting that order information first. We're reading just one selection, and normally you can read lots. You can read the first. You can read a whole group of orders or records. You can calculate how many there are, which can be useful if you're saying like, hey, if there's like more than 5 orders or something like that, I want to take some action. Or you can calculate a function, which means basically calculate whatever, like you could calculate the order total for all the orders for a customer in the past year or something like that. But in this case, we're just reading one record. We're reading from the order section, basically, order object. And how are we filtering that record? And we're saying, all right, I'm looking up the order whose ID is equal to this parameter. So I just hit compare with parameter. And you'll see if I jump to the process parameters, we have one defined, the one that I was talking about earlier. And so we're basically saying, hey, find me the order whose ID is equal to this one that was passed in. We don't really need any other condition because we're just looking up that one order, and we're going to read all the data from that record. Okay, next. The goal of this process is to copy that order and its related lines, order lines, like all the individual items on the order, and make a new one. So the next thing we do is we're adding an add data object. And that again is right here, system. You just take add data and drag it onto there. Delete that for now. And when I click on that, I get all my properties. So again, which object are we adding data to? Again, we selected order. And how are we adding? Are we adding one record or are we adding a selection of records? In this case, we're just adding one record. We're just making one new order, not more than one. And then we just do a process of adding fields that we want to update on the order. So in this case, I added all of these: account, contact, address, notes, related opportunity, order channel, phone, name, status. I'm setting manually the date. So core key fields that will be updated on the order. If you have custom fields, awesome. You just hit add field and select your information. I do not want to copy the number, but maybe I want to copy the owner. And let's go with that. So now I add a new field. So owner, we're going to copy the owner as well. So in order to set that value, I'm just going to hit on my field, the lightning bolt right here, and say what I want that to be. I could say it to whoever's running that process, or I could set it to a specific lookup value, or I could set it to a process parameter, which is what I will select. And I will say on my elements, I want to, whatever I'm doing from the original order, I'm just going to select the owner. So this is saying is find the owner of the original order and keep that owner the same on this new order. And again, if you wanted to say, hey, don't do that, just set it to whoever's running the process. Okay, you can do that as well. That's the current user contact. All right, we are good there. We are going to make an order. Next thing you do after you make an order, you need to make the order lines. So we added another add data element. You can see it's the 3 lines with a plus sign. And let's look at this one. This one's a little bit different. Okay, so an order line in the system is called product in order. I don't expect you to know that, but there's ways to figure that out, but that's part of the fun. So we're adding a product in order, but we're not going to add just one line. We're going to add a whole selection. And when we do this, change this from one record to a selection, we get, all right, where are you selecting all these things from? And again, because order lines are getting copied, we're selecting from the same type of object, product in order. And then it asks, all right, that's cool. How am I going to look up that information? And what we are saying right here is I want to find all of the products on that order that were in the order that's being copied, not the new one, but the order that's being copied. So we're saying, hey, where the order is read original order, which is this object here, which if you recall is the original order. And we're just tying it to that ID because that's how you look that up. So we're saying, okay, I'm adding new products to an order. I'm copying them from a selection, basically is what we're saying, from all the lines that were on my original order. And then same thing, because we're adding data, what values are we setting? So the amount, discount amount, the name, order, but we're not, notice here we're saying, hey, I'm relating all these products to the new order, not the old order, but since I'm adding one, I'm adding that one to add new order, which is this object, and it's got a magical note to say, hey, whatever record ID is created here, tie it to that. So that's tying all of my product lines to the new order, which is very, very important. And then everything else is just from the selection result, which is product in order, right? So the product number, the quantity, the tax amount, the total, the unit of measure, everything else. Let's see. Okay, so that is that. And now, for fun, we are saying, okay, I read the original order, I added a new order record, I copied all of the lines from the original order and added them to my new order. And now I'm going to open up that order record so you can keep editing it, verify everything's correct, whatever you want to do right here. So that is the gamut of this process. So I will save this one because I did make one change. I think we added the owner when we're saving that. Okay, so if I went to run this, it wouldn't really do anything if I hit the run button because I have, it needs an order ID in order to run, and it would just sit there and fail and be like, I don't have an order ID, I don't know what to do. So if I do that, if I hit run, hey, it started. This gives me a good chance to jump into my process log, or I can just do it from here as well. Actions, process log. So here we can see we have our process and it is running. So in the process log, you can see basically anything that's going on. Why don't I show my folders? There are some folders by default. So canceled, completed, ones running with error, ones that are still running. You can see all these are running. A lot of these are lead related or from the marketplace checking for updates. But here's our one, right? Right from here, I could open the process designer, but I already have that open. I could see the execution diagram, so that sounds interesting. Let's jump into there. And as you can see, it went through here one time, went through here one time, here one time, here one time, but it's never like completed. And let's open up this record and we'll see, hey, open order is running. Why? I mean, because it has no order ID to open. So in this case, we're just going to cancel this one because we don't want it to run. And we are good. So canceled. Excellent. Okay, so how do we run this process? Because it needs an order ID in order to actually be useful. So the way we do that is because we want to run this from our orders, we're going to go to our order section. We're going to hit view and then open section wizard. And there's a wonderful button up here on the header level here called business processes. So we're going to click on that. This is where you can relate a particular process with a section and say, hey, when I'm in the section, I want to be able to run this process. In this case, we've already added it. I'll just hit open here real quick, just so you can see what it looks like. Wait, that was the whole process. I don't want to do that. Let's go to properties. Okay, so here you select what process is going to be run. In this case, we selected our copy, order, and products, but you can see all these many available processes. And you have two options. Do I want to run it regardless of the record? Or do I want to run it for a selected record? So if I do this, regardless of records, they say like, hey, run it on everything, which we don't want and doesn't make any sense in this case. It might make sense if you're like, I want to update, every order in the system with some value, but that can get dangerous, so be careful with that. But in our case, we want to run it for a particular record because we're saying, I want to click on an order and copy that particular order. So we're going to say for a selected record, it's smart enough and knows, hey, there's a parameter on this process. What should I pass my record ID into? And we're selecting the one parameter that we have called order ID. If you had multiple parameters, contact, account, lead, whatever, just pick the correct one. And we will save that. Okay. So quickly save this. Okay. So that is how on our order screen that we have this run process button. And there's right here. If you are on a section that does not, like, I don't know if I have a good one, you just won't see that run process button until you define any particular processes for that to run manually based in that section. So you notice leads, I don't have anything. When I click on a record, I don't have that run process button. But if I jump into orders and I click on one, I do have that button. And you can have multiple processes listed here, so as many as you need. So let's say I wanted to copy this particular order. I can do it right from this record right here, just selecting it and saying copy. And if we do that, hey, look at that. If you remember, our process copies all that information, status, customer, all the products, and those get added with the price and the quantity and the unit of measure and the so on and so forth. The delivery information and address is copied. The general information here, right? The opportunity it was related to. It's owned by me because I'm the one that ran the process. It's got, today's date. And so if you needed to change anything, you certainly can be like, oh, they wanted, a 2-night stay or something like that, and they need, 2 rounds there. I should change that. Okay, make that a 4-night stay. Whoa, we can't have a 2.4. All right. And so just doing this in the process just allows that to run, and away we go. You'll notice that it, got a new number, got a new date, so that the ordering in Creatio is just auto-numbered. Lots of things can be auto-numbered. Maybe that's a topic for another day. But we were able to copy that. The other way to copy it is if you run into, let's say, this order here, if you on one, you can open it and look at it and be like, yeah, this is the exact one I want to copy. You can copy it from the record itself while it's open and say copy order and products, same process. But now you'll notice we have a new order. We have some text here that I defined in the process to say verify the order details. And just so you know, that was right here on the open new order page. What should I do? Recommendation for filling out the page, verify order details. So that's where that goes. Right here, verify order details. And, instead of 5, they want 4 this time. So we'll update that. We've got all our other information, and we can save that guy. So that was very, maybe quick, 30 minutes-ish, 25 minutes of taking a process, making it do some neat things, right? Like your own kind of enhanced copy of a record. You could do this on anything, account, contact, quote, invoice, anything custom. So, using the process engine in Creatio allows you to, add some pretty robust functionality to the system that, might not be native, and you can really make it your own, which is, Creatio's whole goal with their no code, low code workspace. So we very easily added basically an enhanced copy for an order, and tag that into our order section. So someone can run, look up an order, say like, oh, yep, that was my order number. Cool. Let's copy that. And then edit it. Pops up the edit window right there for us. And away we go. If you needed to change anything, if you added custom fields after the fact to the order, you might want to come back into your process, and when you're adding your data, you might need to add, those custom fields to make sure they're getting mapped properly, but that would be it. You can save that quickly, and away you go. All right. So thank you everybody for attending. Hopefully you found it a little bit interesting. And again, let me jump back to the slideshow. This is kind of what we covered: the library, the log, and then again, information. And remember, I would love any suggestions. Otherwise, I'll come up with something on my own. But the no code days are May 4th to 5th in Florida. And any suggestions, email us. Have a great day, everybody.